So depth hypnosis is a form of spiritual counseling that is designed to help people make deep and permanent change on both the conscious and subconscious level of mind activity. And one of the ways in which depth hypnosis is different from other forms of counseling is that it is spiritual in nature, and it understands, as the godfather of transpersonal psychology, Carl Jung, said, that no healing can take place without the participation of spirit. And so in depth hypnosis, what we're doing is we're working in several different ways to help people go beyond the usual way of understanding themselves. And one of the things that can happen in other kinds of counseling models is that really good work can get done. There's an understanding of the self on a conceptual mind level, and there's an understanding of how the conceptual mind can change in order to create healing within a person's experience. And this works well for many different kinds of problems. But there are certain problems that are not really helped within the conceptual mind, and the conceptual mind can't help itself, because the root of the problem lies outside the conceptual mind. And this is why working with an altered state of consciousness is helpful, because it helps the client or the patient move beyond the confines of the conscious self. And the way that depth hypnosis does this is through the use of words and with suggestions for relaxation, and by helping the person focus on the person's physical experience as well as their mental experience. And one of the things that depth hypnosis does is it helps people find their experience on a body level. It's a very somatic form of working, and it understands that the body has its own way of recording information, and it has its own way of bringing forward memories. And when a person is dealing with a symptom that's not shifting from addressing it on a conceptual level, going beyond the confines of the conscious mind through the use of suggestions for relaxation, suggestions for focusing the person inward, and working with the body to discover the roots of the symptoms, creates a profound change after the person has been able to shift their relationship with the roots of the problem. Then the symptoms change. There's lots of ways that we work with this, and one of the ways that we work in depth hypnosis is with regression therapy. Now, most forms of hypnosis focus on suggestion hypnosis, and they work with scripts that are already recorded somewhere else or that someone else has written, and the hypnotherapist simply reads these scripts to someone who wants to get a change, for instance, in smoking habits or eating habits, or people who want to get over their fear of flying. And these kinds of suggestion hypnosis techniques can work. But in depth hypnosis, we spend a lot of time generating just the right suggestions, getting the client's approval for those suggestions, and empowering the client to accept those suggestions specifically for themselves. So we do work with suggestion hypnosis and depth hypnosis, but we also work quite a bit with regression therapy. And we even take regression therapy further than the way it is usually used. And the way that it's usually used is by helping a person move outside the conceptual mind into a memory that they have stored somewhere else in their being, often somewhere in their body or somewhere in their emotional body experience. And when this happens, a person can find themselves in a situation at an earlier time in this lifetime, or even a past lifetime, or an other lifetime, or perhaps an experience of a time when they were in utero, or at the time of their birth. And these are the typical time moments that a regression therapy would take a person to: an age regression, a past life regression, or a prenatal regression. Now, what depth hypnosis does is it not only takes a person to that time and place through the somatic techniques of the model, but it works with shamanic principles of healing to do soul retrievals, power retrievals, the removal of energetic interference in these other times and places. And this creates the dynamic and powerful aspect of healing in depth hypnosis, because you're working with shamanic techniques of healing that are designed to move energy within the deeper self. And so you have a real powerful way of working that helps a person change their desire, or to achieve their desired outcomes. Now, some of the reasons that people might come to depth hypnosis are many. You have people who come for help with autoimmune problems. You have people who come for help with learning how to get on a plane without being really afraid. You have people who come for help because they have repeating patterns in relationship that they can't seem to shift. You have people who have tried other modalities and they may have received some help, but they're looking for something a little bit deeper. Then they would come for help with depth hypnosis for anxiety or attention problems or post-traumatic stress kinds of problems, nightmares, insomnia, these kinds of problems that might emerge from spiritual emergency type situations, people who might have had some kind of anomalous experience. Perhaps they got tangled up with some kind of psychotropic drug that they couldn't quite digest or understand the experience emerging from it. These are the kinds of spiritual emergencies that I'm talking about that people might be drawn to depth hypnosis for. Now, you might ask, how can depth hypnosis, how can one model address so many different kinds of problems? Well, the answer to that is easy, because in depth hypnosis, we are also working with Buddhist principles about the nature of reality. And within Buddhism, there's a strong emphasis on the core authentic self. And the core authentic self is the part of the self that is always connected to the universal flow, to what might be called the divine. And when people are having symptoms of imbalance, such as addiction or some kind of anxiety or obsessive kind of process, it's because they have twisted away from this authentic self. And because we're working with principles of Buddhism, we really do understand the nature of this authentic self, even if the client doesn't. And we have lots of methods of helping the person step back into contact with this core authentic self. So the symptoms of imbalance that occur on a physical level, or on a mental level, or on an emotional level, are all just different gradations of the way in which a person has twisted away from their authentic self. And the process of getting back to the authentic self is the same no matter where the symptom is manifesting. This is one of the reasons why depth hypnosis can work with such a wide range of symptoms. And, people will often ask me, so who might be drawn to the depth hypnosis? Who might be the right person to be doing depth hypnosis for other people if they're interested in the training? And there are a lot of people also that are drawn to work with depth hypnosis methods. We have counselors and other modalities that want a few more tools in their tool belt. We have people who really want to be of service in the world and are really trying to figure out the very best way that they can do that. We have computer programmers, research scientists, people who find that they have developed good skills in other areas, but they can apply them in a more interpersonal way, and they want to apply them in a more interpersonal way. And one of the wonderful things about depth hypnosis is that as a person is developing the skills and learning the techniques of depth hypnosis, they can work on their own issues at the same time. And so people who come to become a depth hypnosis practitioner or a spiritual counselor in depth hypnosis may be working on their own issues, healing their own issues, even as they learn techniques to help other people. And this sort of figure eight of the benefit for the practitioner moving into the benefit for the client remains throughout all the depth hypnosis programs and throughout all the different depth hypnosis techniques. So a person who becomes a depth hypnosis practitioner or a person who becomes a counselor in the spiritual practice of depth hypnosis has a lifelong learning of discovery, both of themselves and in the discovery of the person that they're helping. And this discovery expands to understanding the nature of the psyche at deeper and deeper levels. And this is one of the wonderful benefits of working with a modality of spiritual benefit like depth hypnosis.